Every time you swipe a card, apply for a loan, or even miss a payment, you're creating a little digital breadcrumb. And all those breadcrumbs, they form this massive, completely invisible data trail about your financial life. So where does it all actually lead? Let's follow the data and uncover the secret journey it takes. So just think about it for a second. You fill out a form online, you click submit, and boom, a few seconds later, you're either approved or denied. It feels like magic, right? It's instant. But behind that single click is this incredibly complex journey your data takes through the hidden machinery of global finance. And the answer, believe it or not, starts right here. This is the Credit Reporting Resource Guide, or CRG for short. It's this pretty obscure 368-page rulebook that basically governs the entire system. It details in excruciating detail exactly how every single piece of your financial identity is recorded and shared. All right, so to really understand this guide, we have to start at the very beginning, with the source of all this data, you and your financial footprint. That car loan you have, your student debt, the credit card you use for groceries, each one isn't just a number in your bank account. No, it's a whole collection of data points. Your payment history, how high your credit limit is, the exact date you open the account, all of it gets logged. Now, you've got all this data coming from thousands of different banks and lenders all over the country. For any of it to be useful, it all has to be standardized. Everybody needs to be speaking the exact same language. And that language is called the Metro 2 format. Honestly, the best way to think of Metro 2 is like the DNA of our debt. It's this highly specific, totally standardized code that turns your unique financial story into a string of data that any bank or credit bureau can understand in an instant. And this guide, the CRRG, it's basically the dictionary for this entire language. I mean, just look at the table of contents. It shows you just how deep this rabbit hole goes. You've got everything from industry standards for reporting account delinquency to the nitty-gritty of mortgage lending. It is the blueprint for the whole credit reporting world. And trust me, it gets way, way more granular than that. The guide breaks down precisely what gets reported in something called the base segment, which is the absolute core of your credit file. It includes stuff you'd expect, like your account type and credit limit, but the level of detail is just staggering. And here, you can actually see that translation process in action. Every single detail, from whether you paid on time to the kind of loan you have, gets assigned a very specific code. Your financial life is literally converted into a sequence of letters and numbers, all following the rules laid out in this one guide. So we've got this secret code. Who are the players operating in this world? Who are the gatekeepers of all this information? Well, it really boils down to three main groups. First, you've got the data furnishers. That's your bank, your car loan company. They're the ones reporting your data using that Metro 2 format. Then you have the consumer reporting agencies, the CRAs. You know them. Equifax, TransUnion. They collect and store all of it. And finally, you have regulators like the CFPB and the FTC who are supposed to be overseeing the whole shebang. But this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Your data's journey doesn't stop at your credit report. Oh no, it's just getting started. It's about to be retransformed. The next step in the journey is a process called securitization. It sounds super complicated, I know, but the core idea is pretty simple. They take your individual loan, they bundle it together with thousands of other similar loans, and then they sell that whole bundle to investors as a brand new financial product, kind of like a bond. And probably the best way to wrap your head around this comes from our source material here. It says a securitization vehicle is like a small, single-purpose bank, right? It doesn't have any branches or tellers. Its only asset is a giant pool of, say, 10,000 auto loans. That's it. So this pipeline shows you exactly how it works. It starts with you getting a loan. That loan's data is then standardized using Metro 2R, and that's the critical step, right? That's what allows it to be bundled with thousands of others just like it. Finally, that huge bundle is transformed into a security that investors on Wall Street can buy and sell. So why do all this? What's the point? Well, it lets investors buy into very specific slices of the economy. If an investor wants to bet on the ability of American consumers to pay back their car loans, they don't have to go out and start their own car loan bank. They can just buy a security that's backed by thousands of those car loans. Okay, let's bring all of this back home. Why does this hidden, incredibly complex system of codes and securities and virtual banks, why does any of it actually matter to you? Because the raw material, the fuel for this entire global market,
is your most personal information. It's right there in the guide's own fine print. We're not just talking about loan amounts here. We are talking about your social security number, your date of birth, your address, all of it, meticulously cataloged and standardized.
Think about that. Your individual financial life, all neatly coded up by Metro 2R, becomes a tiny, interchangeable part in a massive financial machine. Your personal data is the raw material for a multi-trillion-dollar market. Now, to be fair, this system has some huge benefits. It creates a lot of efficiency and liquidity in the credit markets, and that can make it easier and cheaper for all of us to get loans. But there's a flip side. Its incredible complexity can also hide enormous risks. And that's something the entire world learned the hard way back in the 2008 financial crisis, which of course was deeply tied to the securitization of mortgages. So the entire financial world, from your personal credit score all the way up to these giant global investment funds, it all relies on this one hidden 368-page guide and the language it created. It is a system built for pure efficiency, running on a strict, rigid code. But that leaves us with a really critical question to think about. In a system this complex, this automated, what happens when there's a glitch in the code?